I know last time it wasn't. No sound again. Oh no. Oh no. Now I hope it works. Give me a thumbs up. I said, I'll try to remember everything I said. I said, hi Dom Dom. Hi Matt. Hey everyone. Let us know, where are you sailing this week? How's it going? Rich, good evening. I'm up in Denmark, in Klitmoller, day 2 of the Windsurfing Masterclass that I'm teaching up here. And hey Jorg, we've had a lot of conversation, a lot of coaching. We've done a lot already, but we haven't had much wind. We've had no wind, in fact. But we've done, we went through the gear, working on improving setups. And again, one of my number one rules, I've said this on the live stream before, hey Steen, is that a lot of what we're doing with the gear is not about tried and true rules, or not about set it and forget it. It's about finding what works for you and then experimenting. Point. And that process of playing with your gear, playing with your boom, playing with your gear so that you know how it works, test your sailing, is really an important part of being a better windsurfer. So it's not about setting it and forgetting it. So when I go through the gear, I'm looking at things that I think could change, but it's, again, not a hard and fast rule. Anyway, I mean, we've done a lot of other theory, so it's been good, even though we haven't had any wind. We've done a lot of good windsurfing instruction. Someone wants to say hi.
Yeah.
Jan wants to say hi. He's going to come on the stream. Hey Thomas.
Hey guys.
We've got everyone's outside. We just had our first team dinner. I just came in to do the stream. Dom Dom, good to hear you had some good sailing. Interested to hear how your starboard tack went. One of the things I was saying today is that one of the fastest ways to get better is to sail your bad tack. Yeah, devil tack is the best way to get better. We've got some of the stream regulars. Hey Chris, we've got here. I'll flip the computer around. We've got Carl and Dennis, regulars from the coaching here in real life. Yeah. So yeah, we've got a really good group here. I'm excited, and even though we haven't had wind these days, we've had a lot of good instruction, and yeah, hopefully a lot of good learning. All right, I'm gonna get into the topics that were posted in the group. We've got a lot of good topics from the group. As always, jump in, interrupt me, ask me questions in the chat as we go along. Oh, my lights just went off. Hopefully you can still see me. Hopefully the internet connection's still there. Hopefully you can still hopefully you can still see me. Hopefully it's all working. We're in a rental house here, so not sure. There's no guarantee that everything works. All right, going through the questions. So Anya asked a question about choosing masts. I think this was pretty well answered in the group. Generally, I recommend going with the sail manufacturer's recommendation, and that will get you the mast, the bend curves. But there's pretty good discussion in here. Let's move on. Max asked about on-land training, dry-land training, and this is a great question. So he's asking beyond just physical training. So it's not just about cross-training, but actually about doing visualizations and other kind of dry land training exercises to create the muscle memory so that when you're on the water, you've improved from the last time you were on the water. Hey Eric, hey Max. Max, we're just getting into your question. This is a great question, and there are great answers. I love the answers here. There's a lot of answers that I really agree with, and these are the things that I was going to say. So Tamaz mentions doing the Tai Chi exercise, and that's something that I really recommend doing. I think windsurfing Tai Chi is great. And so what you want to do is go really slow. Think about having really slow movements. Start that process way before the actual maneuver. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people do when they're trying to do the kind of windsurfing Tai Chi is they start in the middle of the maneuver. Once they're already going off the ramp for the forward loop or the back loop, you want to start way back when you're still planing, before you've unhooked, because that's when the maneuver actually starts. That's when you need to start visualizing. So you start really early in the process, and then make sure that your movements are slow and controlled and conscious. And that's so important. So you're not jerky in your movement. So a lot of the Tai Chi dry land learning is about making sure that you can visualize the entire move through the whole process. Hey Greg, how's it going? Have you had any wind? And Sophie also has a great answer. I love her answer about setting up a kit in the living room and working on tacks and jibes. And she says it made a tremendous difference when she came back on the water, and I believe that. You know, windsurfing is so mental, and it's so much about getting these small maneuvers, and I really like this kind of training, this approach. Something I'll add to this is even just watching a lot of windsurfing really helps. So if you don't have time on the water, you can watch a lot of videos and do a lot of visualizing that way. And really getting your mind soaked in the maneuvers, in the windsurfing, really helps with everything. Yeah, so the Tai Chi is really good. The setting up a simulator is really good, whether that's in your living room or your backyard or your garage. And also just watching a lot of windsurfing. Well, really, Paul shows us this wooden handle he uses for visualization. He's not the only one. I've seen a lot of people using a kind of a broom handle to act as a boom. Azel has the same thing. Yeah, so Max says he didn't notice the benefits of the move. You train tacks and jibes. Yeah, so this is interesting. So Max, one of the things I would say is when you're doing it on the simulator, really work on doing it super slowly, so that you have your brain is forced to really visualize the whole thing, and that sort of makes up for not having the water flow and having to balance. Yeah, going really slow can really help. And you know, it's not going to be everything. You're not going to learn every move completely that way, but it can really help with the progress. Yeah, so I really recommend that. There are a few other things you can do on dry land that help other specific moves. Like for example, I think learning to backflip on a trampoline helps with the push loops. If you're trying to learn push loops, doesn't help with back loops, or doing front somersaults doesn't help with forwards, but learning how to do a backflip can help with the push loops. All right, so Max, does that answer your question enough? What are you gonna do, Max? What is your plan for doing the on-land training? I'd love to hear from you. Ragnar-san, good to hear from you. Good to see you. No sailing, but the best season starts now. Nice. I want to see some video. I know you're prepared. You got the GoPro, the Insta360. I want to see it. I want to see it. And your nice new sails. Love it. Joe wants people to post where they're sailing. That's a good idea. Greg, these photos were taken in the north of Denmark. The last bunkers photos. That's a spot near Klitmoller. Post that. All right, moving on. So these are the photos from bunkers. And so this is a spot near Klitmoller. Normally the wind comes from the other direction. So this is an abnormal wind, but it was very fun. I was on the water this day. These are some pictures from Chris asking for some coaching on his top to bottom turn. And so for Chris, this is his wrong side. This is his devil's tack. So right on Chris for really putting in the work. I was surprised. There were good conditions. You know, as you can see, it's windy. You've got head-high waves, and it was really fun. And there were maybe 4 people on the water, because most of the other locals and people who live around the area don't like to sail with wind from the right. They'd rather sail with wind from the left, how it always is. which I think is really limiting. If you the quickest way to learn is to go out in the tack that you're bad at. Max, so the thing I'll add is you want to make sure that you're going really, really slow and really conscious, and make sure that you can see the entire maneuver. It's about really creating those muscle pathways. All right, Chris, let's get into this. Let's get into this coaching. And so there's some comments in the chat about that you get on your back foot here and some technical things. And I'm going to say something pretty different than all that. I think your form looks pretty good, especially considering that it's your bad side. I like this body position where you've got that, the bend in the knee, the bend in the waist, and you're leaning over. You could lean over a little bit more, but it looks good. I like this. I like sheeting out here. You're looking at the lip. You're turning your hips into the turn. There's a lot of elements of the coaching that we're talking about that you're doing, and it's great because it's your bad side. I love to see it. So I think that it's not actually anything about your technique. It's nothing about your technique. What the issue here that's happening is that you're anticipating the turn too soon. And so instead of delow, instead of coming up to the top of the lip, you're thinking about turning before you get to the top of the wave. And so you're doing your turn sort of on the bottom of the wave. Stina, great to hear from you. Let us know if you're going to come up. We're up in Klitmoller, praying for wind, making sacrifices. You should let us know what sacrifices we should be making at the altar to the wind gods to get some wind here. All right, anyway, back to Chris. So, Chris, don't worry about your technique. Your technique is good. What I want you to think about is getting to the top of the wave. And so you already at this point of this is still okay, but you're starting, even here, you're starting to anticipate the top turn. And then especially here, you can see that you're already starting to initiate the top turn, but you can see that you're at the bottom of the wave. And so you're initiating the top turn, but you're at the bottom of the wave, and you're doing the work for the top turn yourself. And so, like we always say, you want the wave to do the work for you. And so I want you, instead of aiming down here to do your turn, which is where you're aiming, right? So here your head is already looking over there. I want you to do the turn here on the top of the wave. Let the wave push you back. Your timing will be fine. You're not too late. So your timing is actually perfect. You would have really just smacked this section if you came right up into it. And so I want here your head is still looking somewhere up here. Keep looking up here. Just aim for this section. Aim to get that high five. And so really don't anticipate the turn too early. Don't turn at the bottom of the wave. Don't do the work to turn the board. Let the wave do the work for you. Let the wave turn you around. So just continue this same arc. Keep looking at the lip of the wave. Just get the bottom of the board to get that high five and turn you around. And you've got the technique. Your technique looks really good, and it looks really good regardless of whether it's your bad side or not. I'm impressed, but it's just about where you're trying to do the turn, where you're anticipating the turn. And so you want to make sure that you're coming up to the top of the wave. So see, if you carried that speed, you would have hit this lip right when it's breaking. And that actually would be safer, right? Like here, where you're trying to do the turn on the bottom of the wave, and the wave is kind of breaking on you. Whereas if you're coming up to the top of the wave, you're going to get some projection, and it's actually a safer place to be. But good work, good work. I like to see it. And when you get some wind from the left, I want to hear about how you feel. Do you feel like you're sailing better now that you had these sessions on your devil stack? Hey Jeff, how's it going? And Daniel, welcome Daniel. All right, moving on. So, Chris, if you're in the chat still, let us know if that answers your question. Let us know how it felt for you. I'm curious what your perception was. If you think my analysis fits with what you felt. All right, let's. All right, we're gonna see you, Stina, on Wednesday. We're gonna be sacrificing. I don't know what we have to sacrifice to get some win, but we're gonna be trying our hardest. All right, moving on. Question from Eric. Eric's in the chat. So Eric's asking about gear. Gear is expensive when you're buying it. So how do you navigate that? I think there's a lot of good discussion here in the answers to this question, and the yeah, gear is expensive, but brands aren't making much money on it, so it's not going to get any cheaper. It's only going to get more expensive. I think you want to get good quality gear that's going to last and that you can trust. And you know, there are some brands that make gear that has a higher quality than other brands, and so navigating that space is maybe not so easy, but it's definitely possible to do. And then take care of it. You know, take care of the gear that you have. So you know, Jeff makes a really good point about never dropping your mast, always storing your mast in a bag. That will make your mast live longer. A lot of times, it's when you drop the mast, or the mast falls and it hits a rock or something sharp, maybe in the pavement or where you're rigging. It puts a little fissure in the glass, and then it's that point that breaks when the mast is under tension. So if you take care of your mast, really take care of them, you never throw them around, you always make sure they're in a bag, make sure they're never hitting anything sharp, they'll last longer, and then you won't be breaking mast, it won't be breaking your sail. And for your sail and your board, there's some best practices. Like for example, there are some better positions for getting work than others. This is something that's worth making a video on, so I think I will do that. I don't have a sail model with me, but basically you want to make sure that the tip of your mast is pointing into the wave that's coming at you, and you want to make sure that the luff of the mast, so where the mast sleeve, or the luff of the sail, where the mast sleeve is pointing into the wind. And in that position, if you're hit by a whitewater, so again, the tip of the mast pointing into the wave, and the tip of the sail, the mast of the sail pointing into the wave, and then the sleeve of the sail, the mast sleeve, into the wind, the rig is just going to travel like a sled. If you have the mast pointing into the beach, it's going to do cartwheels, and that is a sure way to break a mast. If you have it parallel with the waves, it's going to be flipping around, which can injure you or break the sail. So making sure that you have the gear lined up with the waves that way, and you know, the question that I hear someone asking who's watching this is, well, how do I do that? You know, it all happens so quickly, and well, you hurry up, you practice it, and sometimes I'm really racing, swimming around, trying to reposition my gear before the whitewater comes to get it in that position as quick as I can, or at least as close to that position as possible, so that when the whitewater hits me, the gear is not being thrown around, it's staying in that same position and kind of traveling like a sled. And so these are just a couple tips to help with making your gear last longer, so you can still go for it and not have to worry about your stuff. Avoiding flat landings helps with the boards, and just in general taking care of your gear. Dom's saying if you're lying above the sail, you might puncture the sail with your harness hook. I'm generally kind of half on my sail, so I've got like one hand, depending on where the wind is coming from, one hand on the boom and one hand on the mast. So, and then I'm kind of off to the side of the sail. But you can also generally be on the sail. For the harness hook to puncture the sail, you need a lot of force. or like a fast speed. Whereas if you're already on top of the gear, you're not going to get that acceleration into the sail. Yeah. So Eric, does that kind of answer your question? And what is your plan to deal with this situation? Because I think it is a really good question, and I know other people who deal with this topic by maybe buying just really cheap secondhand gear, and then they're okay with wrecking it. And there's other approaches to this question, because what you don't want to be in a situation where the gear is so expensive that you can't commit, right? That's really not much fun, and you're not going to be improving. So there are some kind of path that you can find where you're able to commit, and that might be getting cheaper gear, or getting really used to the positions for getting worked and how you're going out. Really working on your chicken jibes or whatnot. Another thing I'll add is it's often safest to stay holding on to your gear. It's often when you let it go that things go wrong. That's not always the case. Sometimes you do need to let it go, but it's generally good to yeah, it's always good to hold on, I think, in most situations. Yeah, Ragnar makes a great point. If you hesitate, you fall. Like, one of the things that I was saying today is you either go 0% or 100%. There's no middle ground. There's no middle ground. You want to go 100% or 0%. Often it's that hesitation in the middle that's the most dangerous. And speed is your friend. Speed is your friend. The faster you're going the more control you have, the easier it is to get over white waters. In the jumps, you've got less power in your sail. The faster you're going, it's more neutral. It's less heavy feeling. On the waves, the more speed you have, the more you can fly through the dangerous sections, the easier it is to balance. So speed is actually safer. Yeah. And Eric, there's no reason to feel stupid in almost anything in windsurfing, but especially not with having broken gear. If you look at the World Cups in Cabo Verde or Hokipa, the pros are breaking a lot of gear. It's just part of the game sometimes. And like I said, I don't break a lot of gear, but when I do, I don't feel bad about it. I know that shit happens, and that can suck, but it's nothing to feel embarrassed about or stupid. So it sounds like you've got a plan for approaching this. I want to hear how it goes going forward. All right, let's get to some other questions. Tom posted this recap from August, which is super cool. I'm not sure if I've got good enough internet to play this video. I will try it. I might. Let's go through some other questions and see if we can get this video to play. Yeah, I might not have good enough questions. Which, Tom, don't worry, we'll still get to your top